Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Actually, apart from, well, I'm a part-time teacher in Mrs. I am delivering a master's course in Introduction to Language Assessment for the second year already, and this is quite an interesting experience. My major job is with the international exams company, exam board called Language Assessment and Language Cert, excuse me, please, Language Cert. And I will be referring to some of the examples from what we do in this talk. However, we'll look in this in the next 30 minutes, we'll look at, first of all, what is technology doing to language testing in general and in ESP in particular, because ESP sometimes requests more kind of higher level technological solutions than just regular language exams. General English, for example, and also we'll look at a specific exam, probably the latest one in terms of business English exams, which appeared in the market quite recently. I will not be looking too much into its content, but just give you a very general idea of what it is and how it works. Right. So first of all, having worked in language assessment for quite a number of years, I definitely understand quite well that language testing, as well as many other educational activities, is a business. Who our customers are? Well, of course, students and sometimes their parents, if we talk about, for example, school-age children or even students who do not pay for their exams themselves, and therefore parents have to make this decision. Educational institutions, definitely. And if we talk about ESP in particular, then we have to deal with employers who often want to know the language proficiency levels of their employees. What do our customers want? Of course, they want all different things, but if we kind of try to make a generalization, then everybody wants valid and reliable results. They want, for example, a certificate that is recognized, that tells everybody something valuable about your language proficiency and so on. Then the older our candidates get, it's not that topical for young learners, for example, but already for students, and definitely much more than that for working people, they require flexibility in choosing exam dates and times because they are busy. And if an exam is run, for example, twice a month, not necessarily the dates will be fitting everybody. Sometimes, again, if we think about people who are in service already, who work, then very often they are not aware of the exact level, from European framework level, or just using the old terms, pre-intermediate, intermediate, and so on, which they have. So they, apart from being certified, apart from being told what kind of language proficiency they have, at the moment, they also need to be told where they are, what their level is. And everybody needs quick results turnaround, because first you register for an exam, say 5 weeks in advance, and then for another month or even more, sometimes you wait for your results, which doesn't really make everybody very happy. Actually, technology definitely is influencing to increased, in an increased scale, the whole area of language assessment, not just because technology develops in itself, but definitely there is a huge and fierce competition between different exam boards and exam developers for those customers. And if we look at the exam life cycle, so the influence of technology can be traced at all three major steps. The first one of them is test development. It's basically how we develop the test, how we make it. The second one is the second stage of any exam life cycle is test delivery and test administration. So basically how the test is run. And finally, what is called in sophisticated testology terms, response evaluations. But basically this is marking, scoring, and providing results to the customers. And let's look one by one what is happening, how technology is influencing each of these stages. In test development, probably the major changes are connected with the use of corpus linguistics, because it is needed to identify what is called TLU, target language use. So basically what we are going to test, right? So what people at this level should be able to understand when they are understand in terms of listening and reading, what they should be able to produce if we talk about productive skills. And as you know, corpora, language corpora, huge, enormously huge databases. And you can play with them in very different ways. And many years ago, when I was working in Pearson Longman, so I had a chance to look at the British National Corpus, and it was just a fascinating thing, really, how one word you can see in different contexts, in different uses, and different, situation at different frequency levels, if you wish. The next thing, okay, but things like British National Corpus, they tell us a lot, but only about the native speaking use, about the authentic use. Excuse me, I will change back the slide. And therefore all big publishers and all big exam boards, they have their own learner corpora. So they collect, for example, first of all, pieces of writing produced at the exams by non-native speakers. And this gives an idea, okay, what we can expect from not just speakers, but non-native speakers at different levels of their language proficiency. And on the basis of that, again, very amazing resources are created. I would highly recommend to have a look at something like English Profile. This is a Cambridge resource. It is free. Anybody can use it, where you can understand the use of each, say, word or expression or grammar form at different Common European Framework levels. For example, if we take the verb must, so it will appear in A1 level, at A1 level in its major meaning, but something like you must have been told about this only appears at C2. So again, this is something that we need to be able to identify when assessing our students and their proficiency at different levels. Another thing is in test development, highly and strongly influenced by technologies, is so-called pre-testing. Actually, the main asset of any exam board is so-called item bank. It's, again, a huge database where we put all the tasks which can be used in exams. But before any task written by a human gets to the item bank, it needs to be tested in terms of whether it is of the same level of difficulty as any other task from this item bank for this particular skill and for this particular level. And therefore, all companies are running so-called pre-testing. It's when exam is composed of non-tested yet new items, new tasks, and a couple of tasks in each part come from already exams which already happened. These are called anchor tasks. And according to the item response theory, it means that it's from statistics that if a big number of people had set the same kind of exam, then the difference, the distribution of their results can only be within certain limits. If a task gives a big number of very good responses or very bad responses, this means that the task is not correct. It needs to be calibrated. So this is what is done through pretesting. And again, this is a highly technological thing, and item bank also is a piece of technology. If we look at test deliveries, so what has been happening there? And what task does technology help to solve when it comes to test delivery? Well, first of all, it is about candidates. So if test development was about providing candidates with valid and meaningful certificates and test results, then this is about how fast they can, how flexible they can be in terms of choosing dates and getting their results as well. And many years ago, probably at the end of 1990s, companies started running computer-based testing, which means that you still have to go to the language center. You still have to go on a certain date, which is not always chosen by the exam center. It is chosen, it is imposed kind of by the exam board. But a computer-based exam gives you an opportunity to send your answers to the exam board to be checked immediately after you finish the work. And however, this was a first and rather modest step forward, because what is a computer-based test? It's just the same material which you normally do on paper, but it is in a computer format, and you type instead of writing in things. However, it was a huge step forward at the time. The next step was computer-based adaptive testing, and this is all the same, but the computer not only, well, delivers your answers to the exam board quickly, but it allows you to choose, allows you to identify your level while being tested. And this is primarily, or has been, was rather, the right grammar form would be was mainly used in placement tests, because somebody comes to your, I don't know, school, to your university, new admission, and newly admitted students. So you give them a placement test, which is on your computer, and get the results relatively well immediately, basically. So he is B1 level, for example. He needs to be placed into this particular group. But now it is used in high stakes exams as well. I will tell you a little bit later how exactly. And finally, there is online testing, when you do not need to go to an exam center. Exam or test you can take from home at literally any time. Now let's look at the range of different tests and exams from different international providers which are available. Sorry, first, what is adaptive testing, how it works? So basically, this is only available for receptive skills, for listening and reading. You can't do that for writing or speaking, of course, because it's out of reach for technology so far. But what is happening? So when you sit an adaptive test, you are first given a task of somewhere from the middle or lower middle part of the Common European Framework, like in this example, it is A2. You get it right, you are given a higher level task. you get it right again. Higher, then you make a mistake. You go somewhat lower, and at the end of the day, so the machine, the system identifies your level. And this is very reliable. For Cambridge, for example, test, the percentage of, well, the correctness of this adaptive testing makes 99.98%, which is extremely high. And the number of questions you have to deal with can never be identified, because it is very difficult to say how long it will take the system to find out your level. But approximately for a good placement test, it's about 30 minutes, whatever the system manages to give you within 30 minutes. And for things like exams, it will be about, well, over an hour and a half. About that. Now, what exams are available now in online format, and which of them are adaptive? So there is a wonderful Cambridge test called LinguaSkill. It is adaptive. It can be taken from anywhere, but it doesn't lead to getting a certificate. It is a test. It only gives you the statement of the result. Pearson Test of English Academic is an extremely high stakes exam, which opens doors to visas and universities and so on and so forth. It is not adaptive because it is an admission test, first of all. So it is set at C1 level. And if you are below, you will get a result, but not enough to enter university, for instance. And it should be taken from the test center. And finally, there is a test in business English, LangCert test of English, which I would like to tell you a little bit more afterwards, which is high stakes because it leads to a valid internationally recognized certificate. It is adaptive and it can be taken from any venue. And so what is it? We identify it as an exam for working adults and students preparing for their professional career. It is business English, but I would say business English light. You do not need to know a lot about, say, finances or bonds or, I don't know, marketing, whatever. You need to have the general idea of how this works, and you will be able to cope with the material. It is modular, and certificates are awarded for each module. Modules which are available online are listening and reading at the moment and writing, but if you take this exam in an exam center, then speaking is available as well. Works, as I said, on the same principles as placement tests, but leads to certificate. No expiry date for the certificate, and no fail option, because if it is a placement test, that you will demonstrate some level, maybe not, what you expected, what you hoped for. Maybe you thought you were like C1-ish and you get, say, a B1 certificate, but still this is a good document to have. So how this happens? Well, you can register for this exam up to 4 hours before the time you wish to start your exam. And you get your results immediately after you finish the test. Another, well, pleasant things about it, that you need only a few things to be able to sit this exam, to take it. Actually, you need a quiet room, you need computer with, just a second, internet connection, you need a computer with laptop or a laptop with a camera, and microphone and headset. Okay. Excuse me just a second. Sorry, can you still see my screen?
Yes, certainly we can.
Okay, yes, thank you, because I have noticed that it is paused. That's why I got slightly nervous about that.
That's all right.
Thanks. Right, so this all sounds very well, but is it really reliable? Because when you start testing online, especially from any place, you need to think about potential malpractice, because candidates, students, even working or adults, they are very inventive. And the main concern here is that they may be using all kinds of support, from, I don't know, Google Translate, from their course books, from their friends or family or teachers who might be somewhere behind them and helping them to go through the test and so on. So therefore, the obvious solution is proctoring, and many of us had to run exams in 2020 in online form, and I think many of us had to use proctoring in this or that format. And proctoring can be recorded, so you just ask the candidate to video to record the whole session, how he or she is taking the exam, and then you will watch. But it has limited reliability, because you do not know how much the camera of the candidate really shows, and you can't ask to show you more. Live online, this is much more reliable. You have a person who is in the real time looking at the candidate and or at whatever he or she is doing. And advanced automated, this is not yet used in language testing, I should say, but this is the future probably, when we do not need a person. There is a system, a computer system, a very sophisticated one, which will do the whole job for us. And the second thing we need to do, we need to block, even if we have proctors, very, good and trained proctors, still, how can we make sure that the candidate is not switching from screen to screen in his computer, that he's not opening not just their own computer exam tasks, but something different. And so therefore we need something that would do that. And here how this is handled by LangCert. So first of all, as I said, they are proctored in real time, and this is in the left-hand side of the screen. This is what is happening during the written exam, when proctor usually has about 6 to 8 people whom he or she is supervising, and the system shows him and gives him warnings like this tilted head in yellow, that, well, look, this guy is somehow, tilting his head, and maybe it's fine, but you should better check what is happening. The first thing the proctor does, he asks, and he sees everything that is happening around you through your camera. And the first thing he does, he asks you to show your room, 360 grade, so that he or she makes sure that there's nobody in the room, that there's nothing on your desk, that you cannot really use any, sources which could help you, and so on. And finally, we have an exam program which not only demonstrates you actually the exam tasks and, takes you through the whole process through the whole range of tasks, but also this program blocks everything in your computer which you could have used. So you can't really open any other window, any other application, any file, whatever, when you are within this computer program. So therefore, probably LangCert International, ESOL, and it's our main exam, and LTE, LangCert Test of English, which I'm talking about, is the only online exam which can be taken from home, but which is awarded the same certificate as the one taken in the exam center and has the same recognition, because the certificates do not say how exactly you took the exam. Was it from home or was it from somewhere else, from the exam, from the test center? And finally, how can automation, how can technology help us to assess, mark and score the results? So for receptive skills, normally, now there are no humans who are ticking, the correct answers and listening and reading. Normally, all, even paper-based exams are scanned, the candidates' answer sheets, and the system then ticks it, if you wish, scores it itself. And this has been done for at least 10 years, I think, already. Therefore, the results for listening and reading are instant, like listening and reading in the LTE, you get your result right after you finish your exam. For productive skills, it is much more difficult. And there is probably one exam in the world which is using very seriously artificial intelligence in assessing speaking and writing productive skills. This is Pearson Test of English Academic. Artificial intelligence is again a huge computer system, which is first of all fed with the answers of candidates, be that written answers or spoken answers, and decisions made by human professionals, human raters, and it learns from the humans to do that. There are some criticism. Of course, this is very impartial. It gives you much faster results, but still there is criticism against using that in automated assessment by artificial intelligence in speaking and written exams, because all the tasks, all the production must be very standardized. So the questions must be very standardized, and the answers must be highly standardized, because if you allow even a little bit of creativity, like for example, using a quote from Shakespeare with early 17th century spelling, so definitely the system will discard it as something unintelligible, which would be unfair. So therefore, it is the future, I think. Sooner or later, all exams will be using automated assessment, because it is of all skills, not just of listening and reading, but still I think it needs to be developed further to remove all the, to deal with all the existing objections. And colleagues, let me, at the end of my 30 minutes, just share with you the special offer for the participants of today's conference, which is given by our partner, LangCert partner. This is the site called 3W Language Exams RU. They only deal with our exams, and they only deal with online exams. So if you wish to take, or maybe